Ambassador, Deputy State Secretary, dear Professor Hamza, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. So we are here today remembering and celebrating the 30th anniversary of the independence of Uzbekistan. 30 years ago, Uzbekistan could have a new road, a new opportunity, being an independent state and building a statehood, the strong statehood, and they had excellent results. And Uzbekistan is one of the most successful countries of Central Asia and the Turkic world. I am very pleased that you are here. You came to celebrate Uzbekistan. We are here. Who are here? Who are the friends of Uzbekistan and the Uzbek community from Budapest? My friends who study Turkology and many diplomats. Thank you very much for joining us.
Ambassador Faizuloyev, Ambassador Hovari, Professor Hamza, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, excellencies, welcome here. First of all, on behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Hungary, I would like to congratulate our Uzbek friends on the occasion of the 30th anniversary of independence of Uzbekistan. I'm proud to mention that Hungary was among the first countries to recognize independence of Uzbekistan, and shortly after that, we established the diplomatic relationship with Uzbekistan. It took a while, but it's already 5 years ago that we have also opened an embassy in Tashkent, which is functioning and which is performing more and more duties year by year as our relationship is getting more and more intensive. Because what I can tell you is that our relationship is excellent both on political, economical, cultural and people-to-people level. And as a significant proof of it was the historical visit of Prime Minister Viktor Orbán earlier this year in March to Tashkent, which resulted in also a signing of the Declaration on Strategic Partnership. So at the 30th year of independence of Uzbekistan, Hungary and Uzbekistan became not only friends, not only brotherly nations, but also strategic partners, which is very important because in our belief and in our policy, we do believe that just like the region of Central Europe is an engine of the development of the European continent, Central Asia is also an engine of economy and economic development of the Asian continent, but also a key actor of the security issues of any other ways of cooperation, both on bilateral and multilateral level. I am pleased to tell you that we have excellent relations also as regards the people-to-people cooperation. We are proud to provide Uzbekistan and students from Uzbekistan with 100 scholarships in order to support their study in Hungary, in Hungarian universities. We have established earlier this year an excellent relationship between Hungarian universities and Uzbek universities. The cooperation between Conference of Rectors and organizations bringing together higher level educational institutions is also ongoing. We have established this year a program supporting startups in both countries with significant financial support. There's a credit line provided by Hungarian Exim Bank to support business cooperation between two countries, and the trade turnover is also steadily increasing and growing. In 2019, it was almost 80%, and even in the most affected year of the pandemic in 2020, we have reached more than 36% of the growth of increase of bilateral cooperation. And once the pandemic was mentioned, I would also like to once again express our gratitude to Uzbekistan, to the government of Uzbekistan, which was one of the first countries to provide us with significant assistance and help in fight against COVID. by providing us with 650,000 face masks in the period of time when it was quite difficult to get any assistance and any means to protect our people and citizens from the pandemic. And just to turn to maybe a bit more positive outcome of the cooperation in the fight against pandemic, I would like to once again highlight that we have reached an agreement on mutual recognition of certificates proving the vaccination, thus allowing each other's citizens to visit each other's countries with any further restrictions. And we do believe that it will result in growth of flows of Hungarian tourists visiting Uzbekistan, and we do hope also that Uzbeks will travel to Hungary more and more. And for that, Excellency, I think we have one more important task to tackle within the next few months, and that would be launching a direct flight between Budapest and Tashkent. I do believe that we will do our best, and not in a year, but maybe earlier, we will be able to announce it and to put it into the list of the results of our cooperation. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for your kind attention. I would like to wish our Uzbek friends, brothers, all the success, further centuries, millennia of freedom, prosperity, statehood, and friendship with us Hungarians and with all brotherly nations and peoples of the global arena. Thank you once again for the attention, and congratulations once again.
It's a great honor for me to be here in Budapest and be part of this commemoration of 30th independence, 30th anniversary of the independence of our Republic of Uzbekistan. And at the outset, let me thank the representation of Turkey Council in Budapest and personally Ambassador János Havari to hold such an event here in Ibel Villa, in such a beautiful place. I also congratulate you with having this great place at the disposal of the representation office. My special thanks also go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Hungary for their support for today's meeting. And at the beginning, I also wanted to say sorry that Professor Akmal Saidov could not join us, unfortunately, today. This first deputy speaker of our parliament and director for National Human Rights Center, because he was appointed as a main kind of interlocutor, focal point in organizing our elections of the presidents of Uzbekistan, to be held very soon, October 24th. Yes, and then delivering his special greetings to all of you. I don't want to to bother you with all this big speech, and I decided to speak from the bottom of my heart, about Uzbekistan, about the way we have made this past 30 years, about all the reforms, all the achievements, and about problems, maybe also. Why not? We have experienced it during our path on our way. for the more than 10 days, or for the more than these past 10 days, all over the world, our embassies are celebrating. All our diplomatic missions, together with close partners and friends all over the world, are celebrating the Independence Day, which we had on 1st of September 1991. During the Independence Day, in the independence years, we have built a completely new state, new society, even new society. Because even the mindset of people in Uzbekistan today is different, I would say, than we had 30 years before. Of course, when we talk about the independent states, we are proud to tell about recent developments. We achieve it because today, for the last 4 or 5 years, we have been building a new Uzbekistan, as we call it. How we have achieved it, how we have planned it in the beginning, since we have elected our president, His Excellency Shavkat Mirziyoyev, in late 2016. In February 2017, we have adopted the strategy of action on 5 priority directions of development of Uzbekistan for the period of 2017 to 2021. And this, this strategy have become a truly roadmap for all the reforms we have done these 5 years. What are those 5 priority areas? First area is about deepening democratic reforms and reforming public administration and public service. So we have completely transformed our public administration system. And the president, from the early his presidential tenure, announced that from now on, the government will be close to the people. It was said that years before that the people were not heard, and we've launched a new system of presidential receptions. Presidential receptions. What does it mean? It means that anyone who have any complaints, any problems, could come to a presidential reception or go to online or call on certain phone numbers and tell their problems. I'm sorry, I didn't. Sorry. And could tell about their problems. First of all, related to government agencies. So if their appeals or if their requests have been stuck somewhere in the government. So all those appeals and problems were kind of solved. And during the first year, if I didn't forget, we had like 1.5 million requests and appeals, and something like 80 to 85% of those appeals were solved positively. So this is when it comes what it means to be close to the people, and also we introduced a new system of media freedom. Now, any media, any bloggers can raise any problems, and our governmental agencies, their press services, reflect, and I mean, they reply, they give responses to any problems raised in the media sphere within 2 to 3 days. The second direction is about ensuring the rule of law and further reform of the judicial and the legal system. So under this direction, the independence of the judiciary and guarantees. This was aimed at the independence of the judiciary and guarantees of the of reliable protection of rights and reforms and freedoms of citizens, improving administrative, criminal, civil, and economic legislation, increasing the efficiency of the system of combating crime and preventing offenses. So the first year, we have, how to say, cleaned maybe the whole structure of the Prosecutor General's office. We have fired all officials, and we then hired them again according to new standards. And the judiciary also was completely reformed. Our president also, I remember, he told that years before, we have not seen any results, any positive results in the judiciary, unfortunately. So everything now changed. Third direction, development, and is about development and liberalization of the economy. It was about ensuring macroeconomic stability and maintaining higher rates of economic growth. So during these 5 years, ordinary people have felt lots of things have changed. First of all, we have introduced the free flow of our currency. Before, people could not come to the currency exchange and buy foreign currency in the amount they want, unfortunately. Now everything is free, and even, for example, foreign companies gained opportunities to take out all their revenues out of the country, all the revenues they made, contrary to the previous period. We have stabilized the system, the cash flow and the bank accounts, the money flow from between the bank accounts. Fourth is about ensuring, is about development of the social sphere, aimed at consistently increasing employment and real incomes of the population, improving the system of social protection, and also ensuring gender equality too. Implementing targeted programs for the construction of affordable housing too. We have subsidized huge, a program of constructing rural housing, and we have sold those houses in decreased prices for people in the rural area. This direction is also about development and modernization of road transport, engineering, communication, and social infrastructures too. The last fifth priority area is ensuring security, interethnic harmony, and religious tolerance, implementing balanced, mutually beneficial, and constructive foreign policy. This is the last point I mentioned. It maybe one of the biggest is the direction, is an area which gained the biggest maybe change and transformation, because our foreign policy was completely, transformed. We have introduced a good neighborliness policy, and since then we have improved our relations with all our neighboring countries, with all four Central Asian countries. Today, and you can see it on the press anywhere, our presidents of 5 Central Asian countries, if any problem arises, they just pick up the phone and call to each other. Last experiences, last cases. For example, our president visited in June or July his colleague, Turkmenistan's president, for one-day visit, only to express his sympathies because Turkmen president lost his father, and our president participated in the iftar organized by President Berdimuhamedov. The same day, unfortunately, this small conflict arose between Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. And the next day, again, after my president came back, he called to both presidents. And this conflict was settled positively. And because we value, Uzbekistan values peace and security in the Central Asian region. Because Uzbekistan is located in the center, in the middle of Central Asia. We must have good relations with all our neighbors. So this is 5 priority areas. I hope I just tried to give a glimpse of these reforms, but I also wanted to touch our bilateral relations with Hungary in the end. As Ambassador Barani mentioned it, next year we will have 30 years. It will be 30 years since March 3rd, to be precise, we will have 30 years since Hungary since we established diplomatic relations, and hopefully next year I will be visiting again. I'll be here again to commemorate, to celebrate 30 years of the establishment of our relations. Since then, our relations, bilateral relations, just skyrocketed very high. Especially, as it was mentioned, the last 5 years. Since Hungary, especially since Hungary opened its embassy in Tashkent in 2016, and a special thanks goes to an ambassador, Hungarian ambassador to Uzbekistan, Peter Santo, sitting here, and it was, I mean, we together, I think, made a really, really good job. It is also gratifying to note the successful visit of the Prime Minister of Hungary, His Excellency Viktor Orban, to Uzbekistan in late March this year. I am fully confident to say that this was a historical visit for the several reasons. First is because during this visit we signed a joint declaration on strategic partnership for the first time, and I can tell that that Hungary became the first European country we signed this kind of declaration so far, and I think this is big. Second, Prime Minister of Hungary paid an official visit to Uzbekistan for the first time, leading such a big delegation. More than 30 Hungarian companies joined the delegation, and we convened in Tashkent during the visit. We convened the first meeting of the newly established Uzbek-Hungarian Business Council. This is also new. Third, during the visits, we adopted more than 10 documents. They undoubtedly will have a breakthrough character in our relations. For example, important agreements have been signed that define plans for irrigational cooperation, training in the peaceful use of nuclear energy, interaction in innovative development, irrigation and water management, and many others. Fourth, following the results of the official visit, two countries adopted a roadmap for the implementation of the agreements reached during this visit. And since its adoption, we have witnessed a higher intensification of our interaction in trade, economy, cultural and humanitarian spheres. Ambassador Barani also already mentioned about our progress in the trade, in culture, establishing ties between universities. So I better stop here, and I look forward to any questions. Thank you.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to express my utmost gratitude for the invitation to hold a presentation about the constitutional development of the Uzbekistan Respublikacy. I do apologize for the pronunciation, although I studied to a very limited extent also the Uzbek language, but up until now I could not make two giant progresses in this regard. Nonetheless, I always kept interest in both in the legal system, with particular regard to the constitutional system of the Uzbekistan Respublikacy. A few words about the history of Uzbekistan, which is to some extent very like the historical development of Majaristan, of Hungary, because the frontiers changed a lot in both countries, in Uzbekistan as well as in Hungary. So Uzbekistan, I do not want to go back too far in history, became or regained to some extent sovereignty, or to a very limited extent. I have to apologize. After, in the almost immediate aftermath of World War I, the Uzbek Soviet Socialist Republic was proclaimed at the end of October 1924, along with Bukhara Soviet Socialist Republic, which also included Tajikistan. So back then, Samarkand was the capital of Uzbekistan, very much like under other historical circumstances, Hungary, because our capital was originally was Alba Iulia, Székesfehérvár, then Buda, but later Pozsony, now the capital of the Slovak Republic, and only around in the middle of the 19th century, Budapest became the capital of, or Buda, properly speaking, of the country. In 1929, the Tajik Soviet Socialist Republic was created, seceding from Uzbekistan, because previously Tajikistan was also part of Uzbekistan. Karakalpak, up until 1936, as far as I know, His Excellency Ambassador Fayzulayev was born in the capital of Karapalka, of Republic Karapalka, in Nukus, as far as I know, either the fifth or the sixth largest city in terms of number of population of present-day Uzbekistan. So up until 1936, Karakalpak was part of Kazakhstan. So the present-day borders of Uzbekistan are in existence since 1936. And since then, no changes were taking place, which also on a constitutional level, on legal level, provided a solid basis for the development of the countries. And then the Uzbek Soviet Socialist Republic had Soviet-style constitution. First, in the middle of the 1920s, the first constitution modeled after the Soviet of the Soviet Socialist of the Russian Socialist Republic, and after 1936, second constitution was adopted, and later, after the demise of the Soviet Union in 1992, the present-day constitution was adopted, creating a presidential form of government in the country. Preceding, a few words about the preceding phases of the constitutional development. In December 1991, the Commonwealth of Independent States, in Russian Содружество независимых государств, in Uzbek language, unless I am mistaken, Mustakil Davlator Hamdostligi. Is that correct? I again do apologize for some linguistic errors in the field of pronunciation. The Commonwealth of Independent States is still in existence, as we know, has a very special structure. First, the Minsk Agreement and the Alma-Ata Agreement in December 1991. And one of the signing states of the Minsk of the Minsk Agreement and the Alma-Ata Agreement in particular was Uzbekistan, and also which also the country also a few months later ratified the parliament ratified the Alma-Ata Agreement, which is still with some minor changes in effect. As to the present-day constitution, I made a comparison between the constitutions of the countries that are part of the Turkic Council, including Turkey, Azerbaijan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan. Turkmenistan is not a member state of the Turkic Council. And what I discovered that the constitution, the 1992 constitution of the Republic Uzbekistan, is quite original. There is also partly due to the fact that the Commonwealth of the Independent States, unlike the various drafts of a civil code, or private law and commercial law regulating codes, had no model code. There is, for some reason, the Commonwealth of Independent States did not place any weight on the unification of the constitutional system of the successor, so to speak, successor states of the former Soviet Union, which gave a certain autonomy, I would even say a large autonomy, to all these states to draft their own constitution. And in particular, Uzbekistan availed itself of this possibility, and we have to appreciate that. Presidential republic was maintaining, was still the presidential republic, did not change its system, unlike Kyrgyzstan, which we had a talk just 8 days ago, same premises about this. And in the preamble, which is not particularly sizable, unlike the new Hungarian, the first new Hungarian constitution adopted a few years ago, actually on the table of the drafters of the new Hungarian constitution or basic law, in Russian translation, we also had the Uzbek constitution, the 1992 constitution, like in the United States back then in the last third of the 18th century in Philadelphia, under other circumstances, of course. But I emphasize, and truths are strong things. So the Hungarian constitution makers paid special attention to the constitutional experience of the Republic Uzbekistan. Unlike the Hungarian fundamental law or basic law, the preamble is not particularly sizable in Uzbekistan, whereas the Hungarian fundamental law, Lex Fundamentalis, devotes special interest to the historical development. I think in the interpretation of the Uzbek constitution, also in order to let people more know about the historical development of Uzbekistan, so more attention should be, not in the text of the constitution. I do not want to change the constitution of the Republic Uzbekistan by no means. No. But it would be in order to make closer to the Hungarian public the Uzbek constitution, so the historical aspects, due to this extremely rich history of the country, more emphasis. And then in the second part of my short presentation, so His Excellency Ambassador Fayzullayev also hinted at this. The parliament, so the parliament, but the legislative branch of power is very detailed way regulated in the text of the constitution. The parliament is a bicameral parliament. So both the lower house, so to speak, or House of Deputies, consisting currently of as many as 150 members, whereas the upper house, also called the Senate, consists of as many as 100 persons. So please correct me if I am making too big mistakes. And which is really amazing, and all countries in the world should follow this. 15 members of the lower house or House of Deputies. I think the proper Uzbek name of the parliament is Oli Majlis, which comprises both the lower house and the upper house, the Senate, and 15 members are by law, by constitution, by a constitutional provision of the ecological movement. And as far as I know, there is no other country in the world which also on the level of constitution making put such an emphasis of the ecology, which is now, as His Excellency also emphasized in his very thoughtful and enriching presentation, we do need in all, also Hungary should follow also in this regard the Uzbek constitutional experience. You know, because I'm afraid I'm running out of time, one more aspect, Karakalpak, Republic of Karakalpak or Karakalpakstan. which has a territory of 100 and more than 164 square kilometers, state in state, and also Uzbekistan has two constitutions: the constitution of the Uzbek Republic, and also Kazakhstan has its own constitution. As far as I know, in no other country of the world such a system exists, where a country within a country has such a, it is more than an autonomy. And now to make a comparison between Uzbekistan and Hungary, in Romania, as you know, after World War II, in 1952, the autonomous territory of Székely, which is the Székelyes, Szikuli in Latin, are ethnic Hungarians, got a Soviet-style autonomy, but not as a statute was made. And then, for a variety of reasons, at the end of the 60s, as this autonomy, which we could compare to some extent, to a very limited extent, to the Karakalpakstan situation, was abolished in 1968. So, and two more words about Karakalpakstan: has a constitution, has a statehood, a state within the state, has also a parliament consisting of 76 members, as far as I can remember. And the head of state of Karakalpakstan is the speaker of the parliament. So has no head of state, properly speaking. So the speaker, and has also a prime minister. And this is a unique phenomenon in legal constitutional field, again, in the world. Should be followed everywhere. So no matter on what continent we are. You know, I do not want to abuse my time. So the present day, the constitution of the Republic of Uzbekistan is in many regards, in many instances, an example for the Central Asian states, an example for the Commonwealth of Independent States, an example for Europe, an example for the European Union in deep crisis, and also an example for all continents of the world. Thank you very much for your attention.